Hi, this is Arthur Carmazzi, founder of the Directive Communication Psychology and currently ranked as one of the world's top 10 thought leaders in the leadership category. And today I want to talk to you about our Directive Communication Emotional Drive model. Emotional drive is basically why you do things. Now, in the last video we talked about colored brain, how you make decisions, how you take action, how you interpret and process information. Well, today we're going to talk about why. And if you combine how and why, well, that actually gives you some pretty powerful stuff. So, why is your motivation? Now, unlike the genetic foundation of colored brain, your why actually changes. It changes with different parts of your life, different facets. When you are a teenager, the reason why you do things is probably different than it is now. Or maybe after you get married, your priorities and why you do things basically ends up changing. What becomes the emotions that become important change. So, let's look at how our why can support your success. Now, in this short video, I'm not going to be able to cover the entire aspect of emotional drive, but let me give you one particular facet. Let's look at the concept of commitment. Commitment basically is determined by the amount of motivation that you have towards something. You can be not committed to something, which basically means if you do it, you're doing it because somebody's chasing you to do it. It's not really a commitment. On the other hand, there are certain things that you do that you just love to do, and you are absolutely committed to it. In fact, there are probably people that you know, possibly even you, that will spend a lot of their time doing charity work, supporting other people, for free no less. Why? Because they have a certain emotional foundation that basically says, hey, this is important. And that fulfills their emotional foundation. Now, let's look at something you have to do but don't want to do. Are you emotionally invested? Probably not. So let me tell you a story. This is the ancient story of the pyramids at Giza. Now, you've probably heard that the pyramids at Giza were built by slaves, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of slaves that were whipped and everything else. Well, that's not true. Okay? Now, not to say there weren't slaves in Egypt, but the pyramids were not built by slaves, especially the pyramids at Giza. So let's look at who they really were built by. Well, they were built by Egyptians. Why? Well, because the Egyptians didn't want other people building the structures that were going to take them into the afterlife. So, and in Egypt, they had this thing called Bak. And Bak is kind of like the ancient Egyptian caste system. So, basically, if you're down here in the caste, you are obligated to do something for the guy that's up here. And this guy is obligated to do something for the guy that's up here, and so on, and so on, and so on, all the way up to the pharaoh. So the pharaoh says, hey, I want a pyramid, and everybody is basically obligated to go and build a pyramid. Well, it's kind of like when the boss says, you have to come to work today, and people actually show up for work and do their job. Now, how committed they are, well, they're committed to getting the paycheck for sure. But how committed are they to their job? And this is the same kind of thing with the pyramids. See, in ancient Egypt, there's not just the pyramids at Giza. There's actually hundreds of pyramids throughout Egypt. Unfortunately, most of them are broken. Why? Well, let's just say quality control wasn't there and people weren't really that committed. So, one day, Pharaoh Khufu, he says, hey, I want to build a better pyramid. Look at all these other ones. They're already falling apart. You know, he brings his advisors over and asks them, hey, dudes, what do you think we should do? Because I don't want my pyramid to fall apart like these. And so, they come up with the usual stuff. Oh, we got to, talk to ISIS, and we got to do all this stuff. We got to do some things in the temple and all this stuff. But then, what happened? Dinner was served. And just at that moment, they were sitting down to eat, clover-fed beef. Of course, clover-fed beef was like the best tasting beef, and only the pharaoh and the people at the royal court get to eat this stuff. So the pharaoh says, hey, I got an idea. What if we gave all of the people who are working on my pyramid, if we just treated them like the royal court and give them clover-fed beef? It's going to help to make them stronger, and at the same time, they're going to be feeling like they're important. And immediately, the treasurer stood up and said, do you know how much that's going to cost? Pharaoh says, hey, it's my pyramid. Cost is no object. And so, that's how it started. Pharaoh Khufu decided that he was going to give clover-fed beef to all of the people working on his pyramid, which was actually close to about 100,000. So this was later learned by phrenologists Reddy and Lerner, who found massive graveyards of cow bones plus massive fossilized clover fields near the pyramids at Giza. So what happened? Well, people were just like, wow, they felt important, they felt valuable. And rather than just going and doing the pyramid work out of obligation, now they've moved up the level of commitment. They had a much better attitude. And so now their attitude was, hey, we got to really make this happen. We got to come up with better ways to make this happen. And they did. They actually came up with the idea that by moving the stones at an incline only 2 degrees would actually reinforce the weight of the pyramid stones on each other, and the pyramid would stand longer. And, well, they're still here 4,000 years later. But there were still some people who, in that group of people, were not just committed to building a better pyramid, but they were really committed to the cause. And these were people that, they would really work super hard. It was dangerous work, but they were excited. They were at the level of cause. So let's look at the result. Higher quality control, highly committed people. In fact, they found graffiti that these teams, or they call themselves gangs, had these names for themselves, like Friends of Khufu, and they were highly motivated. So if we are going to improve the commitment in the people around us, well, the first thing we've got to do is get past the first level, the foundation of this pyramid building thing, which is basically the level of self. When people are basically working out of obligation. We got to move them up a little bit more so that they get to the level of attitude. At least now they're working with teams, they're getting together, they're feeling the camaraderie, they're feeling the achievement, they're feeling like they're learning things and developing better ways of doing it, and through that they feel more valuable. And, of course, if we can, we get them to the level of cause, where they are invested personally. This is self-actualization, where the people themselves would do this even if they didn't get paid. They might need another job, but even if they didn't get paid, because it's a cause. It's something that they would do because they believe in it thoroughly. And so these are the people that are your fans, your advocates. And they do it because you help them to feel like they're better people. So, when you are back at work, when you are with your family, your spouse, your kids, think about the pyramid of commitment. Where are you and the people around you? At the bottom, out of obligation, level of self. In the middle, attitude improved because they're getting more emotional drives fulfilled, where they're working at the level of group, or at the very top, where they feel that whatever they're doing is a cause. So, this is Arthur F. Carmazzi wishing you great success. And we're getting excited. Monday's coming up, and we are getting ready to open the doors for the registration of the internationally accredited directive communication practitioner certification for only 500 bucks. Okay, and of course, you get to come to Bali, enjoy Avalon and its facilities, and we'll have a really fun time in the process of just becoming better leaders, better people, having better relationships, and basically making or having the opportunities to make a difference in other people's lives using directive communication psychology, the science of group dynamics. So, see you on Monday at 12 o'clock.